Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with Illa Gezey. I am your host, Illa Gezey. Today, we talk about, this has been in the news for the past couple weeks. Today, we talk about the Nolan Wells case. I personally have held back from putting my opinion out about this because it was a lot of slippery slopes, a lot of one person saying one thing, the facts saying something else, or these people saying one thing and these people saying something else. It's just so confusing that I just wanted to go ahead and dive into it. I've gathered a lot of thoughts. I've gathered a lot of facts. I've gathered a lot of evidence. So I'm going to give y'all my genuine opinion on where we stand as of right now, July 31st. Let's get into it.
12 years, 85%. I did it. I stood on it. Thing about the streets is you can be caught up at the wrong place at the wrong time. I still got partners out there. You can't expect everybody to see things the way you see it when everybody didn't go through what you went through.
Real topics, real stories, real events. Get my real outfit.
First of all, I just want to say rest in peace to Nolan Wells. And I just want to send his family nothing but prayers, condolences, and I do hope they get to the bottom of this case. Now, let's talk a little bit about it. If you've been under a rock, let's talk a little bit about the facts of this situation. If you do not know Nolan Wells was an 18-year-old from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. College athlete, football player for the Southwest Mississippi Community College. On July 4th, Nolan Wells traveled to Horn Island with some of his friends. They went on a boat, and Horn Island is just like a big escape for 4th of July. It's kind of like how in South Carolina we relate Memorial Day weekend to Myrtle Beach, and we load up. Horn Island is more so of a celebratory thing for the 4th of July, and hundreds of people go down there. So Nolan Wells went down there with his friends. They had a good time. They were drinking, partying. Everybody was on their boats doing their thing. He was last seen around 3 p.m. These are some of the facts. He was last seen around 3 p.m. near the northwest end of the island. He was wearing blue swim trunks, sunglasses, and no shirt. His cell phone was not with him when he disappeared. His friends left the island without him. Nolan was reported missing that evening. Multiple agencies searched for the boat, helicopter, drones, aircraft, and volunteers. His body was found on July 6th near the area where he was last seen. Authorities initially said they suspected drowning but continued investigating. His family hired attorney Ben Crump. An independent autopsy was conducted at the family's request. It was listed undetermined pending investigation because they didn't have the throat from the first autopsy. They didn't send over the throat or the lungs, I believe, which left them with pending. The independent autopsy did not conclusively rule out foul play. The official state autopsy has not been publicly released yet. Along with that, the state has not released any suspects. They have not ruled out anything, and the investigation pretty much remains wide open. No one has been charged in Nolan Wells' death. The family continues to seek for answers. These are the facts in the case. These are the facts that we currently have. Now, this case has drawn nationwide attention from state, local, and federal agencies. It's a lot of rumors floating around with the case, a lot of he say, she say. When this first came out, they saw a lot of pictures with Nolan and him and his friends. Nolan hangs with a bunch of white friends. I guess Ocean Springs is pretty much a white town, but they do have black people there. But Nolan was pictured with white people a lot. Those were his friends. They were accused immediately, the friends, immediately. Social media went into an uproar and accused this guy's friends. The friends went ghost, went quiet. They closed some of their social medias. Man, it's a lot we could say about the friends, but I want to leave the gap open because I got a lot that I want to feed into the situation as well. Let's talk a little bit about the rumors, and then we're going to dig deep into the situation altogether. There was rumors that Nolan was murdered. A fight happened before he disappeared. The viral fight video shows Nolan's body was moved. Someone hid evidence. Friends are lying. Witnesses changing stories. There's so many rumors. I'm going to tell you the red flags that I peeped. One of the biggest red flags is, all right, if Nolan stayed back with this girl named Katie, because that's what the reports are saying. They're saying, his friends are saying he stayed back talking to this girl named Katie. Katie is saying he left with his friends on the boat. The red flag, that right there is already one red flag. You saying he was talking to his friends on the boat. The friends on the sand, they say they left you with Nolan. That's one big red flag. The second red flag is they didn't take, immediately at first I thought they took Nolan's phone to his parents. They did not take his phone to his parents. His mom, Life 360, searched his phone and went to it, and it was at his friend's house. They were there. They gave it to her with no issue, no problem, or nothing. Second red flag. I don't know if this was a rumor, if this is a fact, but they said that they saw the friends out eating breakfast the next morning like nothing ever happened, and Nolan was still missing the next day. That they had a video where they called the sea tow company that would come tow their boat or whatever. That was one thing where people thought they heard the kids in the back saying Nolan's name, saying, is he dead? Another part of that is they have documentation showing that the boat left and was gone from Horn Island with 7 of them on board without Nolan when they made that call. And they made that call around 4 o'clock, 4:30. They left the island around 3:30. Let's see. Here's some of the questions that I listed that still need answers. Why was Nolan separated from his group? I mean, yeah, they saying Katie, but somebody had to have seen something, even if his friends didn't. Why did the group leave without him? I would assume it was because he demanded to stay with Katie. They said Nolan was heavily drinking. I think that's a narrative they're painting just because of what may happen in the autopsy. Has every cell phone been fully examined? What exactly happened between 3 and the time he disappeared? There's a lot of questions. A lot of questions about this case, and I don't think it's getting no easier as the days and weeks come along. I think the best part is that Nolan isn't missing anymore, and they did find him. Thank God for that part. Now the family wants answers, and they deserve them. They deserve answers. I think there's a mix-up between the friends, the family, social media, and the police's investigation. Now, a couple of his friends already scrapped up with attorneys. A couple of their parents spoke up for them, saying, they're innocent. But they did get the lawyers involved. So I don't know if they're fully cooperating with the investigators. The investigators aren't saying anything. Sheriff isn't saying anything. Like, the police department for Mississippi who's investigating this is zip tight. They are not saying anything as far as facts until they conclude in their investigation or basically announce suspects. I don't think they're going to say anything. So with them not saying anything, and then social media in an uproar, parents want answers, friends wasn't saying anything, it makes it all look bad. Especially when at first, the first thing they said was they did not suspect foul play when Nolan was missing, or when Nolan got found. They didn't suspect foul play. And that right there threw the family for a loop, because they suspected some type of foul play, or they just want answers. Seems like somebody should be willing to speak up, but it also seems like what people may want from this isn't what they're going to get. Let's talk about my thoughts about this a little bit, because I'm ready to just give it to you raw, real, and then cut. I'm ready to give you what I think, not what I think happened in general, but just what I think altogether about this investigation. Transparency is not there. The investigators, I feel like they should at least communicate with the family, but a lot of investigators do not give any information. Social media is doing a lot of digging and investigating, and a lot of times social media will solve a crime before the police solve it. A lot of times, because you got to think, you got people on social media digging deep. They digging deep. Yeah, these investigators dig deep too, but when you got people on social media digging deep and pulling up stuff and pulling up facts, pictures, videos, it gets crazy, man. And they'll be done solve this thing. And don't get me wrong, a lot of their theories make sense. But let's also keep in mind that it is important for them to maintain the integrity of the investigation. In part because you don't want to leak things and then have people, digging up alibis or digging up reasons and excuses and, just coming up with their stories, getting their stories right. Now, I'm going to say this. Katie, I don't think Katie did it. Does Katie know anything? Katie has been very cooperative with the family and with investigators. I think Katie is saying he went with his friends, but I think, I hate to say it like this, but I don't think the friends did anything. That's my opinion. I don't think the friends are the issue. I think there's another issue here, and there's nobody saying anything about it. It's a couple things that could have happened, but I layer it down and I dim it down to maybe two possibilities. Of course, it's two possibilities, right? But somebody took him out or he drowned. One or the other. My thoughts on it is, everybody there was intoxicated, was drinking, and so on and so forth. But I do believe someone had to have seen him. Everybody didn't just leave the island and nobody saw him. Nobody saw him asking for a ride back. Nobody saw him saying, you're too drunk, you want something to eat. Nobody saw him to where they can come out and say anything like that. Now, what I believe is investigators have a lot of people that they've taken statements from. A ton of people they've taken statements from. Now, Ben Crump who him and Tyler Perry have $125,000 reward out for anybody who can give information that leads to the arrest and conviction of someone with information leading to about the Nolan Wells situation. They want the truth. They want answers. And it seems like it's harder to get the truth, which is just answers, versus getting all of these leaked rumors or leaked calls or leaked videos. I do not believe his friends did anything. They were his friends. They were his friends for a reason. They were friends for a long time. I do believe one thing though. Accidents happen. Accident could have happened. But one thing I do believe is it was 7 people on that boat. I think if an accident happened, one of them would have snitched by now. One of them would have snitched. We would have had somebody locked up right now if Wyatt or one of the other guys threw him off the boat. We probably would have had a snitch by now. Now, the only reason, one reason why you wouldn't probably have a snitch is because all of them had their hands involved. Now, if all of them had their hands involved in it, that's one thing. But if all of them had their hands involved, that's where it gets ugly for all of them. And again, I do not accuse them. A lot of people on social media have been accusing the friends. Immediately they accuse the friends just because they were white. He's black. He's the only black kid on the boat. That's just race. It's race baiting. It's race baiting. I don't believe the friends did anything. I like to think with an open mind. I'm a Libra. My sign is a scale like that. I like to adjust and adapt. But I like to think with an open mind. I don't want to directly point and target. I don't want to directly accuse. When it looks certain ways, that's one thing, because we've had evidence came out that looked one way, but then you had evidence that come out days after that doesn't align with it. Like Katie said Nolan went back with his friends. On the phone call with the Sea Tow company, it was 7 of them on board. It was around 4 or 4:30. They said the boat was sinking and Nolan was not on board. Somebody's hiding something or somebody's not saying something. And it don't gotta be his friends. Somebody on the island. I don't know if it's foul play with people who didn't know Nolan, but later on that night, something may have taken place. I don't know. But I do know if Nolan stayed on that island, the police can come out and at least say, leave his friends alone. He stayed on that island and we have evidence of that. Police don't want to do that because they don't want to, if somebody else is a suspect, they don't want to tip them off from thinking the friends, because right now social media and everybody's else's thoughts are the friends did something or the friends got something to do with it. If there is a suspect and he's just somebody that threw Nolan into the water later that night, got into a tussle with him and threw him into the water, if it's something like that, I mean, that person ain't gonna say nothing. He ain't gonna speak up. And I don't want to say it could be something like that, but I do want to keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. He could have drowned. Everybody out there was drinking. He could have drowned. He could have been trying to swim. Even though everybody was in boats, they were, he had his swimming trunks on. He got into the water. It's a tragic, sad, devastating situation for a family to go through. And I know they want answers. I just don't think they're going to get the answers that they think they want. Or I'm not going to say that they think they want, because I don't think that they want a murder conviction. They just want to know what happened. They just want answers. And when you don't get answers and the friends ain't talking and nobody's talking, and then it's a conflict because you got Officer Tatum, who's a YouTuber. He did an interview with the friends saying the story. He's saying that Ben Crump and the family don't want to talk to the friends. So it's a lot of stuff here that I feel like communication can resolve. I feel like the friends probably shut off at first, but they're saying that the family, the parents of the friends, they all been trying to contact Nolan's parents to have a conversation. And I don't know how true that is or not. I really don't. But what I do know is conflicting stories, he say, she say, it's not adding up. A lot of it ain't adding up. Now, I don't immediately think people should accuse the friends. They look like genuine friends, and now you got a couple of them speaking up. And I do not think he was on that boat with them when they left. Why they took his phone, kept his phone, and they ain't even try to give it back to his parents, I do not know. I don't know what kind of thoughts or conversations they had with Nolan prior to them taking off to say, look, y'all got my phone, or damn, do they have my phone? I don't know if he asked for it. Like, it's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. But we can't really get those answers when people automatically have accused these kids of doing something to murder to Nolan. And nobody has the facts to say that these kids did anything to Nolan. They were his friends. One of the kids actually even said he felt bad because they couldn't even attend the funeral because they didn't want the attention to be on them. They wanted the attention to be on Nolan and his life and his legacy. So I say this. If the friends did it, all of them had their hands in it, and all 7 of them need to be arrested. If ain't none of them communicating with the police and telling them exactly what went down. But like I said, I do not think it's the friends. While everybody had their opinions, I listened, I watched, I looked at the evidence that they do have, the evidence that they don't have, the questions we still have answers to, the speculations, the rumors. It's scary, man, because if something like this happened to you and your friends, how do you handle it? You know? And if you can't afford a lawyer, wouldn't you want your children to have lawyers? Wouldn't you want a lawyer to talk to you before you jump out there and have any kind of statement, make any kind of statement? Because you don't want to make a statement and have that same statement used against you in the court of law. So yeah, you would definitely want to communicate with law enforcement when it's time. It's your friend. I don't think I could just be quiet if it was my friend and something happened to my friend. I'd have been actively looking. But when you got these guys who got accused of doing something immediately, it kind of makes them and their families push back on the narrative. I think the investigation should be a little transparent when it comes down to cases like this. Because when you got social media in uproar, and when you got friends and family in uproar, or people just sending death threats to the family and sending death threats to the kids, I know it's an ongoing investigation going on, but at least clear these kids. If you got the evidence to clear the kids, clear them. If you got the evidence to say Nolan was on the island after the kids left the boat, after the kids left the island, Nolan was not on the boat. He was on the island up until 6 o'clock, because they do have reports saying that he was on the island up until 6 p.m. But right now, everything's zip tight. Nobody's giving up any evidence. The state autopsy hasn't came back, and we're still waiting to see why they haven't given up the throat to the independent autopsy. So while I have my thoughts and opinions, the case is still going on. The investigation is still pending. It's still a pending investigation. So it's not a lot of real facts coming out from law enforcement. But what I will say is I do not agree with everybody accusing his friends. Because what if they didn't do it? What if anybody ever thought about what if Nolan just drowned? What if he just drowned and his body floated up back on the island? What if that's the case? Is anybody going to apologize to the friends and how they treated them? Made them disappear off social media? School about to start back in August? Anybody going to apologize to them if this comes out to be an innocent situation, not a murder? Who gonna apologize to the kids then? Because it ain't gonna be all of social media. You ain't gonna have 1,000 or 1,000,000 videos saying, man, I apologize, Wyatt. Or I apologize, this guy, I apologize, Katie. Because people blaming Katie too now. You got people blaming Katie. You got people blaming his friends. Hey man, I may follow the case up, I may not. I'm gonna keep up with it, but I don't know if I'll do another video about it. I'm gonna just tell y'all right now, I do not think his friends did anything. If I'm wrong, we'll come back and see that I was wrong. If I'm right, we'll see that I was right. I don't think his friends did anything. If it was his friends that did anything, all of them are gonna go down. Because it seemed like one of them would have snitched by now. But if his friends did anything, all of them gonna go down. Because one of them would have snitched by now, and they would have had some type of arrest, story, or something to say. Being that none of them got locked up, none of them, the police ain't made none of them a suspect. I feel like that autopsy is going to determine a lot, along with the stories that they told investigators is going to determine a lot. So the autopsy, along with the stories, is what we waiting on right now for the investigators to put together. Once they put all of that together, I think we'll get the real truth as far as we know it. But just be prepared. Nobody might not get locked up for this. Nobody may get locked up. This may have been just a drowning. Stop accusing his friends is what I want to say. Stop blaming his friends, man. I don't think his friends did anything, man. Just wait till the facts come out before you just start pointing fingers. That's all I'm saying, because y'all have put PTSD on somebody who generally lost their friend and genuinely want to know what happened too. But if you pushing the blame on them, imagine how that make them feel. Just take a time to think about that. Take some time to think about how that may make them feel. This has been another episode of Real Talk with Illa Gezey. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, hit that hype button. If you gained anything from this episode, if you know anything about this, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what your thoughts are. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.